All right, guys. So we're talking about what gear grinds our clinks, and today it's going to be Aegislash, which we just found out something interesting. I'll let Steven, go ahead and start it because he has a
You call
thing.
him Steven one more
Well,
time. Stefan, one more time.
yeah, don't call me Stefan for fuck's sake.
It's just so used to
But
it.
all right, okay. So basically, if anyone hasn't, figured out or anything, Aegislash has been sent to Ubers, and it's just said on Smogon right here. Quote: in an extremely close vote, Aegislash has been sent to Ubers as a result of the latest suspect test. It received a 62% majority, with 60% needed to send Aegislash to Ubers, and it gives the forum post on the whole thing. So, yeah, basically, Aegislash has been chucked into Ubers, and yeah. So, yeah. Go right ahead. Someone talk.
All right. So yeah, it's interesting. A little bit interesting that it's been banned. I personally didn't feel
Well,
like it needed
well,
banned.
yeah. Go on.
I didn't feel like it needed banned, but I guess a majority of Smogan felt like it needed banned. I mean, I guess I can see arguments to both sides, but still, it's kind of, I don't know. It's starting to look like anything that goes to suspect test is now just going to be banned. It's not even suspect test. It's like how long until we ban this
Well,
thing?
that was kind of the whole thing last gen too. Well, actually, last gen I think Keldeo and Reuniclus were up for suspect and they didn't get banned. But no, that's probably just like a rare thing. But here I'll talk about it. So okay, all right, here goes. I'm on the whole fence about the entire thing. To be honest, I'm on the whole fence about Aegislash getting banned. Like I'm mainly I didn't want it to get banned because mainly personally it's one of my favorite Pokemon, but that's just beside the point. I can see why it's banned though. I mean, Aegislash did have that whole presence in the OU metagame. It definitely had a great, it had a lot of. I'm trying to get my whole thoughts together now. It had a great. It did over centralize the metagame quite. It really did. I think it really did. Over centralize the metagame, being that it was. I'm trying to find words. I'm trying to fucking. I can't. I'm still in. I'm in a bit to be honest, because I have to out of my thoughts a bit. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what Antonio has to say.
Okay, it's my turn now. All right.
No, I'll come into it later on, but I'll just
All right.
gather my thoughts
Let me
first.
start.
Yeah.
Let me start by saying all the good things that are coming. Let me start by saying this: that all the good things that are coming out of this, because Aegislash is banned now. He was a steel type with being able to switch its defenses and its offensive capabilities with a single move, King Shield, some even didn't run King Shield just because they wanted the complete offensive capabilities, but still can abuse the defensive capabilities by switching into Aegislash to Pokemon that go for moves that it can resist, or even neutral attacks that it can, get 4 hit KO'd by. Play roughs from Mega Mawile, all of Mega Mawil's moves, like it can't hit Aegislash at all, except for Sucker Punch. But it can, it can easily get rid of Sucker Punch that way. Mega Mawil's are running knockoff, just so it can hit something and, knock off a item without. Because if you ran Swords Dance, I mean, that's nice and all, but like, what's the point of running Swords Dance when all you're going to do is just get stalled out completely by an Aegislash? Other Pokemon like Mega Gardevoir, Mega Metacham, a lot of Pokemon, like Scarf Terrakion, can now come back in and see some play in OU because Aegislash just he countered. I wouldn't say he countered. He just kind of checked a lot of Pokemon, and it's pretty, he's a pretty goddamn good Pokemon. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, if not my favorite Pokemon right now. I really, really, really loved Aegislash. He was unique typing, great move pool for its typing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be specially offensive. It could be physically offensive. It could be defensive. Subtoxic was amazing.
Subtoxic's the best set, to be honest, because Subtoxic ruined a lot of its own counters, like Mandibuzz, for example. Like a lot of here, I'm gonna jump in now because Well, with Aegislash, Aegislash did over-centralize the metagame a lot. And it did, as you said, it did restrict a lot of Pokemon like Mega Gardevoir, Mega Medicham, Mega Heracross, Hawlucha. There's 4 examples there. You know, it stopped a lot of those Pokemon. And, you know, it is a really good Pokemon. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, it did have a threatening presence in the tier. And, you know, I'm not surprised that it did get banned, to be honest, because being truthful, I had a funny feeling that it was going to get banned, just to be honest, because, like, when people say, you know, oh, but, like, you know, like, when people say, you know, just bring Earthquake, bring fucking Bisharp, bring Mandibuzz, you know, it's just, people seem to think that Aegislash only had the SD 3 attack set, that it SD, King Shield, and 2 attacks. You know, it's 2 stabs or whatever. You know, what it carried. But, you know, Subtoxic does ruin a lot. It's great. Like, for example, Aegislash, like, it's not just Aegislash's role in OU and its over-centralization. It's the fact that it can fit on every single team. We're going to put it out there. And to be honest, it could, let me see now, you know, what am I trying to say? It can fit on most teams, and not to mention it can. What am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? It can fit a lot of roles. You know, it can be an offensive. It can be an offensive. It can be an offensive pivot. It can be a stall breaker. It can be wall breaking. You know, and just I saw you know pro ban and anti ban arguments, and a lot of them were a bit null and void, mainly because you know, well, with the anti ban they were saying you know, well. Just, you know, fucking bring a Klefki with foul play. You know, that's definitely going to do it. But what happens when, you know, you bring your physically defensive, quote-unquote Klefki, it comes in and then you get hit by a Shadow Ball. You know, it gets 2 KO'd by Shadow Ball and then gets knocked out by Shadow Sneak the next turn. What are you going to do? You know, it's just, Aegislash didn't get banned because of its, you know, its sweeping capabilities. It was banned mainly because of how it can come in. It can like break down a lot of Pokemon or weaken a lot of Pokemon that were considered its counters, like Rotom Wash. You had Mandibuzz, and you know the rest of them, you know, and its checks like Garchomp, and you know all the rest, you know. But it's just, yeah, it got banned mainly because it can break down a lot of those Pokemon, and then your other teammates like Talonflame or Mega Pinsir can come in and just go bop 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 the rest of your opponent's team. You know, it's just. It's pretty darn strong, and as well when people say you know bring Mandibuzz, bring Bisharp, you know you're not going to bring like say if someone's running an offensive team they're not going to bring Mandibuzz just to check Aegislash because it kills the momentum of an offensive team. You're not going to bring Bisharp the same as like you're not going to bring Bisharp to stall because you know vice versa, you know. So well like that's for obvious reasons, of course. You don't bring a Bisharp to stall, you know, but like. Not like Aegislash had a lot of great roles in it being, you know, offensive. It could work on stall a lot. Subtoxic was great for stall, to be honest, because it did ruin a lot of, you know, its own counters. And like, it just had so many great roles that it can pack into just one Pokemon and just, you know, it's. I'm like I didn't want it to get banned, but I did see the reason and I did see the logic in between in why it did get banned, to be honest. But as Antonio said, or Rage GS, or whatever the hell you want to call him, Mexican man. But no, but like you know, we're gonna see a lot more in usage with other Pokemon. Like you know, we're gonna see Mega Gardevoir, we're gonna see Mega Heracross, we're gonna see Hawlucha, we're gonna see you know Scarf Terrakion. You know,
close combat Mega Pinsir is now going to be a thing because
that's
Mega
gonna be a thing.
Pinsir only carried Earthquake. They only carried Earthquake for Aegislash.
Literally the only reason they had it. Which
it really was. Like, I mean, you could say that, you know, oh, and Heatran too, but Heatran is also, you know, one hit KO'd by a close combat.
Not to mention most Heatrans carry Air Balloon and are offensive anyway, so.
Yeah, so essentially with that, you know, we're going to see a shit ton of shifts in the tier. We're going to see a lot of Pokemon rise up. We're going to see a lot of Pokemon, you know, become more central. To be honest, though, when it comes to when I see Aegislash getting banned, I can only see, to be honest, I can only see like Megavore being the only, if ever Megavore to be banned. To be honest, I'm just gonna put this out here, right? If like if there's going to be a Pokemon that's going to be ban worthy after Aegislash, it'll probably Mega War
Yeah,
because
I don't think Mega Gardevoir though, because like it actually has a set counter, a set few
yeah, oh
counters
yeah, yeah,
actually.
of course. That's not it. Like I mean, it's like you know, like it may be what like this is the same with Aegislash. Same, it might be walled by some Pokemon. Some Pokemon might come in and check it, but does it discredit how good it is in OU? No, it doesn't.
Oh
It's
no,
still
yeah,
it's
but
still
Aegislash
great.
didn't really have counters. Aegislash had like checks that could kind of try and
Yeah,
kill him.
it was littered with checks. It did have a lot of checks, though. I will admit, but
It had a lot of checks. It just like if you could say Bisharp was a check, but then it's gonna Sacred Sword you and you're not gonna kill it in one
also as
hit.
well with the Bisharp argument, a lot of people ran. I've seen. I think I saw it in a World Cup replay. I've seen. I think I saw an Speedy Aegislash for checking Adamant Bisharp, and as you know, Aegislash is about 60 in speed, and I think a Jolly. I think it is a Jolly Aegislash can outspeed Adamant Bisharp, which is common. So it's just those little things. People just coming up with different ideas and just beat. It's as I said before, beating its own counters. It's just. It's just, I know, it's crazy, I just, yeah.
Aegislash is just an extremely versatile Pokemon. Now, with
Exactly.
all this being said, you may think that we're actually for Aegislash's ban. Is actually the complete opposite.
Yeah, we're actually
At the
all
same-
against it.
At the same time, yes, Aegislash is an amazing Pokemon, but, like, who isn't an amazing Pokemon in fucking
Oh,
OU?
true.
Like,
Of course.
be honest.
Like
Oh,
we have
I know.
Talonflame,
Yeah, I
we have
agree, yeah.
Mega Pinsir, we have Mega Charizard X and Y.
You know?
They're all good.
Yeah, we have
Oh, yeah,
Mega
of course.
Mega Charizard Y. We have all these amazing Pokemon that can actually, dump all over fucking Aegislash. But like, it's just the fact that it has way too much versatility is probably why it
Yeah,
got banned.
exactly. It was number one. Like, I looked over the usage statistics in OU, right? And I saw everyone, like, I saw an argument with someone saying, well, a lot of top tier players don't use Aegislash, and that was a complete lie, to be honest. That was BS. Because I looked through the usage statistics. I can't say that word. Basically, I saw Aegislash being over, and with players that had an ELO over 1825, it was number one. With it like go down a bit lower, it's 1695, 1700, it was still number one, and it was like ranked number 9 in the World Cup replays. It was really over centralizing the metagame to a great extent. I'm not saying it is, of course, they did have a lot of checks. I'm not discrediting that. There's a lot of great Pokemon in OU, but it did have that presence, and it did over centralize a lot in OU. It did restrict a lot of Pokemon. Again, if people are saying that whole argument of, well, I can't use my Mega Medicham, I can't use my Heracross, that's BS.
Yeah.
That's why you that just promotes.
We shouldn't even be braining in other Pokemon as an argument to ban a Pokemon.
Exactly, yeah.
We should be braining
Because
in
like if you
how the Pokemon itself can do. Like you said, Aegislash Versatile could pretty much do almost anything in the book except like be a clerk and a wish passer, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, but in OU right now, but in an offensive metagame as X and Y, there's not much in, clerics or team building. Well, sorry, not team building. What am I saying? Clerics and, wish passers. They're not really, too common anymore. But it's just, I've seen, like, so much on both sides. There was a lot of, valid and invalid arguments. Like, people were being really aggressive about the whole thing, saying that Aegislash was cancer to the OU metagame, and I'm like, I wouldn't go as far as that, like it wasn't exactly, carcinogenic to the entire, to the tier, like, but it did have, it centralized a lot, and it was like and people were saying as well, that I myself in the early days of the whole suspect test, I was saying, well, why was if Aegislash was this good now, why wasn't it banned back in, pre-Pokebank, but people started to find that there was much more versatility to Aegislash than just SD kill or Etnus policy. There was a lot more that it could do. It had a lot more. I remember when I saw Subtoxic Aegislash, it was interesting. I might try that out. It is actually one of the best sets because, like, it breaks. It's great on stall. It breaks down a lot of its own counters. It can ruin a lot of its own counters. You know, it as I said, it's just another great OU Pokemon. You know, and I'm not surprised that it did get banned, to be honest.
And yeah, and a set I ran with pretty effective efficiency was especially defensive weakness policy Aegislash that essentially if it's not going to do damage on one side, it has Shadow Ball to do damage on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Which is ridiculous. And of
Mm-hmm.
course Sacred Sword to check Bisharps and it's probably the best Pokemon that Game Freak has released in who knows how long.
Oh yeah, definitely. Man, imagine in a metagame. By the way, imagine if if Steel didn't get its nerf in Ghost and Dark typing. Imagine if Permaweather was still around. That thing would have got straight shot into Ubers straight in the first week. Just think about it. Imagine a metagame where Aegislash was under rain and it was only neutral to Ghost and Dark. That'd be pretty fucking frightening, to be honest.
I'd be
no, yeah, I'd be very afraid of that. But you know, it's just Edge. I mean, I didn't want it to get banned personally, but I can see why it did get banned. I am gonna argue to a certain extent, but I'm not gonna dispute why people wanted it banned. I can understand clearly why it did get banned, because like, let's be honest, it did prove to be a good Pokemon in OU, and it did shine a lot, and there's proof of that, you know. It's just overall Aegislash such a great Pokemon, and now since it's banned, you know, we're going to see a hell of a lot of you know, as we said, a lot of Pokemon in the BL tier that are going to shoot up straight to OU, and a lot of different pokes are going to, you know, see usage, like Toxicroak, Starmie. You know, Toxicroak is another Pokemon that might see usage, and Starmie might see more usage. So that's just the thing.
I definitely think Starmie will see more usage.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Considering that, you know, Aegislash,
Shadow Snake pretty much O-code Starmie without any boost.
Like as well, if I want to, you know, talk a bit more on the whole, you know, checks versus counters thing, I'd say the counter to Aegislash was Gliscor. As ludicrous as that sounds, that's an actual set. Like I don't think Gliscor got 2 KO by Shadow Ball even, you know.
Oh no, he still gets two-shotted.
Oh yeah, well, fair enough. So, but
he really
you know,
does.
it was.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it's close to a counter. You know, I wouldn't say it's probably the most valid counter, quote unquote counter there to Aegislash.
That
but
exists.
you know,
you can't really switch in on a Shadow Ball.
Yeah, no, man. I was Joe something as well. I just remember that what's his face for this fight with fucking a whole scenario. No, it's not a scenario. Analysis on, you know, the whole suspect testing, and you know, he was naming out all these Pokemon like, but to ruin you know, Aegislash, you know, you just got to bring Klefki with Foul Play. You know, at +6, Klefki can still take a +6 Shadow Sneak. Yes. But I like, you know. And he said a lot of Pokemon like Choice Banded Garchomp, implying that you'd ever use Choice Banded Garchomp, because that's just terrible. You know, Mega Mawile and all this thing. He was saying all this stuff, you know, but you know, a lot of those Pokemon like cannot switch into a Shadow Ball. He was looking at it on the basis of, well, Aegislash only to me Aegislash only seems viable with SD. You know, the physically offensive one is the more viable one. That's what I saw from his video anyway. But like, the Pokemon that he mentioned, none of them can switch into a Shadow Ball, and none of them survive a Shadow Sneak afterwards. Like, Garchomp takes like 80% from Shadow Ball. In Mega Mawile switching in, the max it did was 86%, which is ridiculous, you know? It's just, you can't just say that, you know, you can't just discredit the Pokemon because of its counters. Like, no matter what, like this goes back to the whole argument of in Gen 5. Remember when Thunder's got banned? You know, people were an Excadrill as well.
That, like, fairly early on too.
That was, yeah, it was probably about.
It was with Excadrill. It got banned.
Yeah,
with Excadrill.
4 or 5 months into the metagame, we see people arguing like, well, you know, I have to bring my Mamoswine with Ice Shard and I beat it. You know, you don't discredit that. The reason why Thunderous got banned last gen was because of its role and its utility. And, you know, its capability, you know, like Prankster, Taunt, and T-Wave was, you know, everywhere. And then Excadrill with Sandrush in Permasand, like, swept a lot of Pokemon, you know, took out, like, the only viable counter that I saw to Excadrill in 15 OU was Gliscor, again, you know? Yeah. So, like, just trying to discredit a Pokemon by naming out certain Pokemon, 1v1 situations. That annoys me too. Well, my Zoroark with Focus Sash can deal with Aegislash. I don't see a problem with it. But it's that they're not valid arguments.
It's so
They're not. They're
situational.
never.
So situational. That's why.
Indeed, yeah.
That's
One
why
v.
something
Oh yeah. Go
doesn't make it past a ban is because
on.
it takes way too much situations that no one's going to count. Well, some people are going to count for it, but not many people are going to count for it. And if a Pokemon's used as much as Aegislash is, it's going to be on every team. So you have to actually make a team around shutting down Aegislash.
Exactly, yeah. But as well, the whole idea of discrediting the Pokemon just because it can be checked by Garchomp. Don't be doing that. It's like you don't just discredit it. You can't discredit a Pokemon's reputation in a tier just because of a few checks and checks. I won't say counters because that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about checks. Switch in, use Earthquake with Garchomp. That's not a viable thing. You can't discredit the Pokemon. It's still a great Pokemon that no matter what you do, it's still a really good versatile Pokemon, and it's still over centralized a lot of the OU tier. So, no matter what you say with you can keep your Ice Shard Mamoswine to your Garchomp. That was another argument too with fucking Garchomp being banned in 4th Gen. I'm gonna bring my Mamoswine with Ice Shard. I'm gonna bring my Weavile with Ice Shard. It's just.
Oh, hey, Garchomp
Don't do
has
that.
Yachi Berry. It's going to live.
Yeah. I think Yachi Champ only took 40% from Ice Shard Weavile, which was kind of funny. I think anyway. That's what I think. I haven't played Fortune in a long time, but yeah. And as well, people are saying as well, this whole argument of Aegislash, once it gets banned, it's not going to be great in Ubers. That's not a valid argument either. Don't discredit it for being in Ubers either. In Gen 5 Thunders, I didn't really see much of usage in Ubers, but still, it was still too powerful for OU. You can't just do that either.
Plus,
And unlike Thunders,
I've ran a few Ubers teams with Aegislash at this point, just because I wanted to see how it would hold up. It's actually fine.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's fine enough. It's a solid check, quote unquote check to Xerneas.
Yeah.
That thing's a fucking threat. But yeah. Antonio, do you want to talk, or you've been quiet for a long time?
I mean, I had what I needed to say. Pretty much what I said just pretty much gave you the ignition to let you talk.
Yeah, basically. I finally gathered all my thoughts, but yeah, it's just in summary, basically, right? In summary, I didn't want Aegislash. I personally didn't like seeing Aegislash go, but thinking about it, now. It's probably going to be for the best. I'm going to edge it out there. It might be for the best because we can see a lot of Pokemon now. We're going to see a lot of tier shifts. We're going to see a lot of Pokemon come up from different tiers. We're going to see a lot of Pokemon being used more, and it's going to be interesting with an Aegislash less metagame. We're going to see, a lot of Pokemon like Mega Cham, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Heracross. We're going to see a lot of those Pokemon. But I want to put in one more thing. The way that people said that with Aegislash if Aegislash did get banned, I was reading the suspect test thread on Smogon, and basically what happened was there was a whole discussion of well, if Aegislash goes, then Mega Gardevoir will go and Mega Heracross will go to Ubers because Aegislash stopped them. Well, not really, because, on their own, it's the only one that I'd see that would get a suspect test as of now without Aegislash would be probably Mega Gardevoir, if it ever came to that. Mega Medicham is just too frail. It can't switch into anything.
Mega Gardevoir, honestly, would get a suspect test because,
there's enough actual solid counters to.
Yeah, Heatran, of course, Heatran. Although, it's more Heatran.
Mega Mawile. Honestly, the only thing I see getting a suspect test is Mega Pinsir.
Definitely. That thing would probably get a suspect test because of how
stab return boosted aerial A +2 is complete. It's so scary.
That does 75% of defensive Mega Scizor. That is ridiculous. That does so much damage to it.
It's so much damage. It's so dumb.
And it can clean up right after with quick attack.
Definitely, yeah. It has, you have say Mega Pinsir's main checks, main counters are Road and Wash, and you've Road and Wash, and you have Zapdos, which is my when I run Flying Spam, I run Kieran B, because Kieran B just knocks those Pokemon out. It's too good. But I'd say that's probably going to be one Mega that's going to get suspect tested a lot, because now with Aegislash gone, we're going to see close combat variants, and close combat shit. Like close combat did what Earthquake did, but what close combat didn't do was check Aegislash or take care of Aegislash. So that's why most of them ran EQ, and but that is definitely going to be one Pokemon that will be suspected. But even then, with the whole Pokemon that are going to come up, I don't see Mega Cham or Mega Cross going to get suspected or anything like that. They're not going to dominate the metagame, because considering that Mega Metacham is very frail, it can't switch into anything, it can't take any priority, and Mega Cross, it has bulk, but what's it going to outspeed? As you see,
how's it going to deal with Talonflame?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it has a Mega Talonflame. Imagine I was about to say Mega Talonflame.
Mega Talonflame? Holy shit!
Priority to both fire and flying type moves.
I don't want to think about it.
But in real talk, I think Talonflame would probably be the next suspect, because Aegislash was the only thing that could semi-deal with Talonflame.
No,
I mean, there's Mandibuzz.
Oh yeah,
I don't see Talonflame.
We'll see what happens.
To be honest, I don't see Talonflame going to get a suspect test at all, in my opinion. If I could compare it to a Pokemon, I compare it to Volcarona last gen. People were saying, how fucking broken Volcarona was, because it had semi-decent typing. It bug and fire checked a lot, but its main counters were Tentacruel, Heatran, and people were getting a suspect test on. It was getting a suspect test too, but it didn't get put to Ubers, because there wasn't really any point in it being banned. But I can see Talonflame in a way being similar to Volcarona, because they do share the same common weaknesses, and they do have solid counters and OU that just stop them. But that's just my opinion.
But yeah, we'll see. But that's pretty much all we want to talk about was Aegislash. So
yeah, basically, yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. In summary, we all kind of wanted Aegislash to stay, but we understand why it went.
Yeah, and again, it's a lot of people are going to be complaining, but maybe in another month or two, you might think it's a good thing, because you're going to see a lot more Pokemon that you didn't see before are going to go rise up in tier usage. So maybe we'll see what happens with the next. We'll see what happens over the next 2 or 3 months in the usage. The usage statistics. I can never say that word fast. But yeah, that's basically it. Go on, Nick, in the video.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys later.